Even Democrats are getting sick of Biden's incompetence when it comes to immigration. 2 Democrat senators in Arizona are now calling him out, and no wonder. Welcome, everyone, to the Trish Regan Show. I am Trish, and you know, and I know, what is happening right now on immigration, how it is just wrong, and it's affecting everyone. From the communities right here in America that are plagued with an escalation in crime, that are plagued with escalating bills as they try and deal with the financial calamity that comes with all of this, to the people themselves that are trying to come here. This hurts them as well, and we saw it this weekend. I want to tell you about a human smuggler's overloaded boat that capsized. Take a look at that off the coast of San Diego, California. 4 people, 4 migrants died. As many as 27 people were injured. These pictures are coming to us from the San Diego Fire Department, where officials tweeted them out. We had a scene of a 40-foot cabin cruiser that broke apart right on that rocky coastline after overturning in the surf. You know, this is dangerous stuff. People are putting their lives at risk to try and come here, and they think they should because they think there is a path forward, because that is what the Democrats have told them, specifically Joe Biden, over and over and over again. So you had all kinds of agencies, from the Coast Guard to Fire Department. They're all out there trying to save these people, dozens of migrants, 4 reported deaths again. And in fact, what they told us, what authorities told us, was that they pulled 7 people from the waves, including 3 migrants who died. The cold surf was running 5-6 feet there on Sunday morning when this all happened. And so the boat just snapped in half and people died. And you've got the Border Patrol that's saying, you know what? We've been warning of this. Quote, every indication from our perspective is that this was a smuggling vessel. This is the Border Patrol agent who says that the boat was severely overcrowded. In other words, we're creating incentives for these smugglers to take tremendous risks, and for these people to take tremendous risks. And that's just wrong. It's just wrong. You know, we have a Border Patrol that's trying to police all this, right? And that Border Patrol is effectively directly at odds with this administration. I want you to hear Joe Biden, who keeps saying things like this.
My immigration policy is built around keeping families together, modernizing the immigration system by keeping families, unification, and diversity as pillars of our immigration system, which it used to be. Ending Trump's cruel and inhumane policy at the border to rip children from their mother's arms.
Cruel and inhumane? Let's not forget who's in cages now, right, Joe Biden? Let's not forget about those 2 little girls, that tried to cross the border. They were just dropped off like rag dolls. Take a look at this. I want you to see this video right now. We're looking at this, and you see the smugglers just drop the girls over the side of the wall. How is that ever right? This is disgusting to see. Those little girls could have died. They could have broken their necks. And what do the smugglers do? Wait for the second little girl to go over. They send her over. This is courtesy, again, of the Border Patrol. Thank goodness someone's watching this and bringing this to our attention, because Joe Biden thinks that this should be ignored. This poor little girl gets dropped over as well. And what do the smugglers do? They take off. They race out, right? Their job is done. Who knows what's going to happen to those little kids? We can report that they are now in federal custody and they're okay. But this is a problem. And Kamala Harris, rather than directly address this problem, she's holding Zoom calls with presidents of Mexico and Guatemala, promising to give them hundreds of billions, forgive me, millions. You know, it's so much money these days. It's so much money that what's a billion, what's a million? Hundreds of millions of dollars of our money to help improve their economies. Like that's ever going to work. I can tell you, as somebody who has spent a lot of time covering those economies down there and those administrations, as someone who actually traded sovereign debt in some of those godforsaken places, it's never going to work because there's so much corruption. The money's never going to get to the people, so we're just going to keep throwing it at them, and they're going to keep sending their people our way and putting them in harm. I mean, we've got a real issue. And you know what? Even the Democrats are seeing it. Let me share with you what Arizona's Democratic Senator Mark Kelly said in a written statement referring to President Biden's State of the Union address last week, saying, and I quote, "While I share President Biden's urgency in fixing our broken immigration system, what I didn't hear tonight was a plan to address the immediate crisis at the border. I will continue," he said, "holding this administration accountable to deliver the resources and staffing necessary for a humane, orderly process as we work to improve border security, support local economies, and fix our immigration system." You know what? It's got to be fixed. Okay? You can't just ignore it. You can't just assign Kamala Harris, who refuses to go to the border, and say, okay, this is fixed. We're going to just throw more money at the problem. No. You actually have to fix this. You have to fix this, and you have to create deterrence. You know, I'm all for people coming here that want to be productive, that want to work and want to become American. I'm not okay with people who want to come here and live off the system, live off the work of people who are already here working hard. And so we need some kind of system in place so that we are bringing the best and the brightest. And you know what? I don't even care. You don't have to have a PhD to come here. We need all kinds of people. We need the dishwashers. We need people that can sweep the floors. We need it all. We need people that are going to pick crops, okay? But we got to do it in an orderly way where we can be assured that people are coming for the right reasons. Joe Biden is failing to do this over and over and over again. And another Democrat senator from Arizona is taking note. This is Senator Christina Sinema, who told Fox News that she wants to see, quote, more action from the administration to address the border crisis and support Arizona border communities. Duh, right? I mean, this does not need to be a partisan issue. This is something that every American should be behind. Let's make sure that we have a safe and orderly border policy. Coming up next, everyone, Maxine Waters says America is more racist than ever. What? Wait till you see this. Welcome back to the Trish Regan Show. I am Trish, and the left is working the race card for all it's worth, increasingly dividing our society in a way that I would say is extremely unhealthy, in a way that I don't know whether or not we can even recover. It's going to take a lot, right? Because they just keep digging in and they're doing more and more and more damage. Remember Senator Tim Scott going on TV the other night with the rebuttal to Biden's speech and saying that, you know what, America's really not that bad. And you know how they piled on him. You know what happened on social media. You know the references to Uncle Tim. It was not right. And now it's continuing to be a mess, thanks to none other than the supreme racial divider herself, Maxine Waters. Listen to her here on KTLA's Inside California Politics over the weekend, saying she thinks America is more racist than ever before. I want you to see how she reacts to Senator Tim Scott's speech.
We've worked so hard to heal. You know this stuff is wrong. Hear me clearly. America is not a racist country.
Every day we have seen, this nation get more racist than anybody thought perhaps would be at this point in time.
We're more racist every single day? We're the most racist we've been at any point in time? I mean, forget the 50s or the 60s, forget the 1800s. Somehow Maxine Waters thinks this is the worst it's ever been. I'm going to point out a few obvious things, including the fact that we elected a black president twice, right? That's not a racist country that does that. We now have a minority woman as vice president. We have Maxine Waters, we got Senator Scott, we got a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds, and that is good in our U.S. government and in all parts of America, and that's good, and we've accomplished a lot. So don't sit there and tell me that it's worse than it's ever been in terms of discrimination. I would argue that the division is worse than it's ever been. And that is on these politicians who are deliberately using the issue of race in a really destructive way. They talk about systemic racism. Why don't we talk about systemic inequality for economic opportunity, thanks to the likes of these Maxine Water types that are there collecting money theoretically on behalf of their people, but somehow it never makes it to the people, right? That's socialism for you. These communities predominantly African-American communities that were most disadvantaged, put at the biggest disadvantage during the coronavirus crisis, because those poor kids didn't get to go to school. Those kids didn't go to school. In some cases, they're still not in school because of powerful teachers' unions and, once again, corrupt politicians who do not have the interest of the community and the people at heart. They just try and use the community. And it's about time that people speak up for what's right. So every child in America gets real opportunity from an economic standpoint. These people are manipulating the situation in really catastrophic ways. I want you to hear this.
Is America not a racist country?
Well, you know, I don't know if he was counseled to say that or whether he really believes that. If he really believes that, then he has missed not only the history of the country, but what is going on right now. As we watched the invasion of the Capitol on January 6th, and those people following Trump saying they were taking back their government and they were willing to harm people. As a matter of fact, not only were they willing to harm people for the Capitol Police, who happened to be people, police of color, African American, they were calling them names, the N-word. Every day we have seen, this nation get more racist than anybody thought perhaps would be at this point in time.
You see, that's all because a sitting U.S. senator dares to say something that's at odds with the party line, right? So if you're African American, you're not allowed to deviate from what Maxine Waters and the rest of them want to tell you. Somehow that really feels un-American to me. We're individuals with our own individual experiences, and it's that individual that makes the country strong. Okay, coming up, we got a lot to talk about. Did you see what happened in Utah over the weekend? Woo! This is Battle Royale, MAGA versus RINOs. Who's your money on? I'm on it next. The Republican Party has got to start thinking really hard about its future right now because it's still a very divided party. In part because you got the Mitt Romneys of the world that really don't seem to gel with, say, the Governor DeSantis's of the world, right? Well, they got to figure this out if they're going to win in 22 and they're going to win in 24. But I think somehow, some way, it's being figured out for them. Just look at what happened in Utah. GOP voters gathering there, and they certainly signaled over the weekend that they don't have a lot of goodwill when it comes to Mitt Romney as he took the stage.
So what do you think about President Biden's first 100 days? Now, you know me as a person who says what he thinks, and I don't hide the fact that I wasn't a fan of our last president's character issues. And I'm also no fan... Aren't you embarrassed?
Look, the party doesn't like him. The base, I should say, doesn't like him. The base likes what they saw from Donald Trump. They liked the policies of Donald Trump. They liked his willingness to stand up to the so-called elites. They see Romney as part of that group in terms of the elites. And so the more he's up there sort of creating this division, the more it becomes a problem. I suspect that his days increasingly might be done just because there is such a groundswell, and given what's happening on the tax front, given this increased move towards socialism, people are going to say enough, right? Like they've had it. So the Mitt Romneys, anybody who wants to kind of negotiate all this, no such luck. It's those that are going to stand up to the left's insanity right now, despite, cancel culture and all those good things. Those will be the people that resonate, including rising star in the GOP, Governor DeSantis out of Florida. Watch him here.
Oh, yeah, we're going to protect our girls. I have a 4-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old daughter, and they're both very athletic, and we want to have opportunities for our girls they deserve an even playing field. And that's what we're doing with what Mississippi did, with what Florida did, and I know what other states are going to do. So I look forward to be able to sign that into law.
That's Governor DeSantis saying, you know what? He's not going to have transgenders playing girls' sports. Controversial view, but one that's very, very popular right now among a lot of conservatives, including many in Florida. Meanwhile, he's calling BS on this critical race theory that's being pushed in schools. Watch him here with Laura Ingraham.
This proposition that we are a systemically racist country. Your reaction?
Well, it's a bunch of horse manure. I mean, give me a break. This country has had more opportunity for more people than any country in the history of the world. And it doesn't matter where you trace your ancestry from. We've had people that have been able to succeed and all. And here's the problem with things like critical race theory that they're peddling. They're basically saying all our institutions are bankrupt and they're illegitimate. Okay, so how do you have a society if everything in your society is illegitimate? So it's a very harmful ideology.
He's calling it like it is, okay? People are not okay with this. I mean, they're afraid to say things, right? They're afraid because cancel culture is so strong right now. But when you talk about losing an opportunity maybe for a sports scholarship because it's going to a transgender instead of your daughter, when you talk about losing an opportunity in school because they're pushing all this critical race theory on kids, that's when people start to say, well, okay, but now that this is going too far, and in a real equitable society, we shouldn't be having these kinds of massive preferences, right? Don't forget, it's a big world, and you got a lot of people, and you got to be fair to everyone. But Governor DeSantis really leading the way. So I suspect in this MAGA versus RINO business, you're going to see the MAGA party emerge. That is the new GOP today that will control things in 22 and in 24. And if they can keep the wheels on the bus and keep pushing this message and not get destroyed by the likes of social media, they're going to win. All right, socialist Biden tanking the markets. That's going to happen. It's going to happen. If he gets his way, we will have total disaster because it's inflation, 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 and a messed up economy. I'm on it. That's next. I've got the proof now. The Biden team is made up of nothing but a bunch of socialists, and this is dangerous for America right now. Janet Yellen, who, by the way, I actually thought, in the scheme of Fed chairs was fine. I mean, she was a little bit bibbity-bobbity-boo. Remember from Cinderella? She was like the market's fairy godmother because she basically, through all her quantitative easing and all her low interest rates, ensured, bibbity-bobbity-boo, things were going to keep on going up. Well, now we're really seeing who Janet Yellen is, because it's not just what she thinks she can do at the Federal Reserve, it's what she thinks she can do as Treasury Secretary. Here she is arguing on NBC's Meet the Press over the weekend that Biden's spending increases, no big deal. It's what we need.
So the spending that's been proposed in the jobs plan and the families plan, it comes into effect once the economy is back on track, and the spending from the rescue plan that's coming into force and helping us get on track. After that stimulus is spent, it's spread out quite evenly over 8 to 10 years. So the boost to demand is moderate.
Okay. Thank you, Janet. A couple things to unpack there. First of all, it will cause inflation, okay? Like, there's no way it's not going to cause inflation if you're that accommodative for that long a period. All right, it's not rocket science here. We're already seeing inflation. Warren Buffett talking over the weekend about inflation. In fact, he said that at the Berkshire Hathaway meeting, and his colleagues agreed. Prices are going up, and for some reason, people seem to be okay with prices going up. You look at any of the recent data, you've seen prices are going up. But here's something else she said, which is kind of alarming. Yellen is talking about how, it won't matter. By the time that this money is actually going into the economy will be recovering. I'm like, whoa, wait, what? In that case, what the heck are we doing spending it? Well, you know why they're spending it. You know why they want this money. They want to spend to remake America from a capitalist structure that has made us the most successful nation on earth into a socialist disaster. I mean, hello, Venezuela, right? They did this 20 years ago there. You saw what the outcome was. They want all the power going to the government, not to the people. We talked about that last week, right? Remember what Joe Biden said about how it's we, the government? They want all the power concentrated in the hands of the government, so they don't even care if the economy stumbles. They don't even care if there's mass inflation. All that will mean is, the government becomes all the more important, and they are trying to addict people to federal spending. It is so unbelievably wrong, and it is so socialist, and it's so nuts, and so much for that idea, right, that Biden was supposed to be a moderate. He is anything but, and the entire team around him, a bunch of Obama leftovers, by the way, they're all about socialism. Yellen, being one of them, talked about those crazy high taxes, sending an email to CNN, and I quote, saying, "The greatest threat to our economic recovery and our long-term prospects is not marginally higher tax rates for large corporations or the top 1% of taxpayers. It's the lack of support for America's workers and families." There we go. America's workers and families. They just need more tax money from everyone else. Asking, she says, will these tax increases hurt the economy is not the right question. The right question is trading higher taxes on high-income taxpayers for middle-class tax cuts and major economic investments pro-growth? And the answer to that question is a resounding yes. Wow. I mean, I feel like she never should have been Fed chair because she doesn't really understand the economy, or she understands socialist Marxist-style economies, but clearly doesn't like or want to embrace capitalism. She wants to hurt businesses. She wants to hurt earners because she thinks that it is somehow the right thing to do. It is just to take from one to give to those that Biden and she deem worthy, those that need it. We're at a crossroads right now. And the policy that these people are putting in place could be massively devastating for decades and decades to come, could actually dislodge not just America's place in the world, but the world order in general, right? Because if the U.S. is no longer a thriving capitalist economy, then who takes our place? China? I want to remind you, everyone, to make sure that you go to Trish Intel for all your news, trishintel.com. Make sure you go to my new private group on Facebook. I want to help you invest. I want to help you think about what you need to be doing to protect yourself in light of this entire environment right now. So go to Trish Regan's private group on Facebook. I will see you there. Make sure to read that morning market note every single day it comes out. And I look forward to chatting with you some more. I'll see you tomorrow.